Have you ever woken up feeling pretty good, but then you looked at your smartwatch and guess what? It told you your sleep score is a 52. Now suddenly you're like, well, never mind then. I guess today is ruined. And maybe it told you you got 18 minutes of deep sleep and now you're questioning everything about your life choices. I'm talking your bedtime, pillows, your mattress, maybe even possibly your personality. So the real question is, does your smartwatch actually know how well you slept, or is it just guessing? Because millions of people are using Apple Watch, Fitbit, Garmin, Oura Ring, Whoop, and then they're making decisions about their health based on those devices. So today I want to walk through what your watch is actually measuring, what it's estimating, what it's getting right, what it's getting wrong, and how you should really be using tracking data if you want to help instead of stress yourself out. Because the answer isn't they're useless, but it's also definitely not, hey, they're medical devices. It's actually somewhere in the middle. And once you understand where the middle actually is, these tools suddenly make a lot more sense. So let's start with the biggest misconception people have. Most people assume their smartwatch is measuring sleep directly, like it somehow knows exactly where your brain is in deep sleep. But here's the reality. Your watch cannot see your brain, and sleep stages are defined by brain activity. Real sleeping stages, the kind that actually do in a sleep study, use EEG sensors. Those measure electronic signals from your brain. Your watch does not. Your watch measures movement, it measures your heart rate, and sometimes your breathing patterns. Then it uses an algorithm to estimate what stage of sleep you're probably in. So when your watch says you were in REM sleep from 2:12 to 2:26, it's not actually seeing REM sleep. It's actually making an educated guess. Sometimes that's a very good guess, and sometimes not so much. Think of this like a weather app. If it says there's a 70% chance of rain tomorrow, yeah, that's useful. But it's not the same thing as looking out the window and seeing, hey, it's raining. Sleep trackers work the same way. They're predicting patterns. They're not measuring brain waves. Now, here's the surprising part for people. Even though they can't measure sleep stages directly, they're actually pretty good at telling you when you're asleep versus awake. And that matters more than people realize. Most modern trackers are fairly accurate in answering questions like, when did I actually fall asleep? How long was I in bed? How often did I wake up? What time did I wake up in the morning? Now, that's valuable information because consistency is one of the strongest predictors of sleep quality. So if your watch helps you realize, I thought I was going to bed at 10:30, but it's actually closer to midnight every night, that's actually a useful insight. Same thing if you think you're getting 7 hours of sleep and your tracker says you're averaging 5 hours and 40 minutes. Now that's not perfect data, but directionally it's correct, and directionally correct is often enough to make better decisions. Now, where people start getting in trouble is when they focus too much on their sleep stages, especially deep sleep. I can't tell you how many times I've had someone say, my watch says I only get 20 minutes of deep sleep per night. And then they're worried something is wrong. But here's the problem. Even medical sleep labs sometimes disagree on sleep staging. And those labs are measuring brain activity directly. So when your wrist device tries to estimate deep sleep using movement and heart rate alone, there's going to be variability. And sometimes a lot of variability. And that doesn't make the device bad. It just means that deep sleep numbers are not something you should treat like a lab result. Now, they're not precise measurements. So what your watch actually says, I got 22 minutes of deep sleep last night, don't panic. But if it says, I get almost no deep sleep every night for months, that's something worth paying attention to. You see the difference? Single night numbers don't mean much. Patterns over time are helpful. Now let's talk about the sleep scores. Because sleep scores are where things get emotional. I mean, you wake up, you feel okay. Then your watch says you're at a 63, and suddenly your brain says, oh no, today is just going to be terrible. That's called expectation shaping, and it is powerful. Your watch didn't just measure your sleep, it's actually changing how you feel about your sleep. And sometimes people actually feel worse after checking that score, even if they slept fine. And there's a name for this. It's called orthosomnia. It means becoming overly focused on perfect sleep data, trying to optimize every number, chasing higher scores, getting stressed about sleep performance. And ironically, that stress actually makes your sleep worse. Sleep is not a performance sport. You don't win sleep, you actually experience sleep. So when your watch score helps you notice patterns, that's great. But if it makes you feel insomnia every morning, maybe stop checking it before coffee. Now here's something smartwatches are actually excellent for, tracking trends. This is where you shine. They can show you, are you sleeping less this month or less than you did last month? Are your bedtimes drifting later? Are you waking up more often? Is your sleep schedule consistent? Now these matter because sleep patterns rarely show up overnight. They develop gradually. And wearables are actually very good at catching gradual changes. For example, maybe your sleep duration slowly drops to 7 hours, then 6.5, then 6, then 5.5. Now you might not notice that yourself, but your watch definitely will. And that's useful information. Now it's not perfect information, but useful. Another thing people ask all the time is, can my watch tell if I slept well? And the honest answer is, not exactly. Because sleep quality is more than movement and heart rate. It includes sleep depth, brain recovery, hormone timing, breathing stability, circadian alignment, stress levels, environmental factors, and about a dozen other variables that your watch can't measure directly. Now, your watch can estimate pieces of sleep quality, but it can't measure the whole picture. So if your watch says your sleep quality was poor, but you're feeling refreshed, always trust your body. And if your watch says great sleep, but you feel exhausted, also trust your body. Now your brain still outranks the smartwatch every single time, at least for now. Now let's talk about one place sleep trackers can accidentally cause problems, and this is comparisons. Now people love comparing numbers. My friend gets 2 hours of deep sleep. My coworker has a score of 92 every night. My spouse falls asleep in 6 minutes. It doesn't mean those numbers are better, because sleep is individual. Some people naturally fall asleep faster. Some people naturally wake up more often. And some people have different REM patterns. Your watch isn't grading you against the world. It's tracking you against you. And that's the comparison that matters the most. So if sleep trackers aren't perfect, should you even use one? Honestly, yes. They are helpful tools, as long as you use them the right way. Use them to notice patterns. Use them to track consistency. Use them to understand your habits. And use them to see how caffeine is actually affecting your sleep, or travel, or stress, or late workouts, or late night scrolling. Because sometimes the watch doesn't actually diagnose the problem, but it does reveal a pattern behind the problem, and that's powerful. Here's the simple rule we give people all the time. Let your smartwatch be a guide. It's not a judge. It helps you understand your sleep, so keep using it. But if it makes you anxious about your sleep, just take a break altogether. Sleep should feel easier, not more complicated. So does your smartwatch actually help you sleep? Not exactly. It estimates, it predicts, it tracks trends, and when you understand that, you can see what it's good at and what it isn't. And it can become a really useful tool instead of a confusing one. Because the goal isn't perfect sleep data, the goal is better sleep. And sometimes the smartest move you can make is listening to how you feel before you check the watch anyway. Thanks so much for watching. If your smartwatch told you something surprising about your sleep recently, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Until next time, sleep better, and we'll see you soon.